Hey everyone, welcome to your Vinyasa practice. We are working towards the full split in this series of practices. So we're going to come to our mat right away, take downward facing dog. Start to relax your head here. So you're getting heavy through the head, so you're lengthening out through the back of your neck. You're staying active through your hands, spreading your fingers wide. Roll the body weight to the inner edge of your hand, your thumb side and your index finger side of your hand. Keep pressing the floor away a little bit, even grip the mat with your fingertips. And then start to bend your knees right and left here. Start to breathe a little bit deeper in through your nose, maybe out through your mouth. Or if you can, breathe in and out through your nose. Start to press the chest back towards the thighs. And take about 3 more breaths here. Keep lengthening out through the back of the neck. Keep pressing the floor away, straightening out through the arms. Keep relaxing your head, let your head hang heavy. All right, from your downward facing dog, big toes touching at the back of your mat. Sweep your right leg up and back. Point those right toes. See if you can feel a little bit of a stretch sensation across the front of your right thigh. And then on your exhale, right knee forward towards right elbow. Give it a little tap. And then press through your hands, extend your right leg up and back. One more time, big stretch through that right leg. Maybe open the hip a little bit. You can start to rotate through the spine. And then exhale, right knee forward. Plant that foot between the hands, set your left knee down. Untuck your back toes. Press down through the top of your left foot. Press down firmly through your right foot. Sweep both your hands forward and up. Let's interlace the fingers to the webbing. Scoop up the back of your neck. Take a deep breath in, get really tall through your spine, lean your head back into your hands, maybe look up towards the ceiling. You're trying not to collapse in your upper back, but rather extend into this back bend by lifting up through the chest as you look up towards the ceiling. Take one more breath here. And then exhale, hands reach forward and down to the top of the mat. Heel toe your right foot out to the right side, turn your toes off the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee up, wiggle that left leg back, nice and long through that back left leg. Pause here. See if you can get just a little bit heavier in the hips. The knee's not going anywhere, but you're just trying to get just a little bit heavier in those hips so that you're starting to move this stretch into that left hip flexor. That's the top of your thigh. Take one more breath here. And then we're stepping back into our high plank from this shape. So keep your left leg as it is. It's already in high plank. That right foot's going to come back to meet it. Try not to lift the hips up. Shift forward onto the tippy toes, lower to your knees. Come all the way down to your belly. Tuck your forehead, let it rest. And we're going to come into Sphinx here. So walk the elbows forward underneath the wrists. Take a deep breath in, pressing your pelvis down into the floor, pressing your elbows and your hands down into the floor. Try to pull your heart forward through your shoulders. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One of the other ways to prepare for full splits is to actually work on back bending, but working on opening the front side of the body is one of the things that back bending does, which is what the back leg is doing in your splits. Take one more breath here in your Sphinx pose. Now from Sphinx, we're going to come up into a supported forearm plank. So you're tucking your toes under, you're pressing into your knees and your elbows to lift your pelvis off the ground. Get nice and long through your low back. So again, keep that tailbone tucked. Feel navel hug up into your spine. Now lift the knees off the mat. So you're fully in forearm plank. Pause here, big breath in. And then on your breath out, walk up to your hands to high plank. And then press into your hands, lift your hips high, relax your head, downward facing dog. Pause there, deep breath in. Deep breath out. 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. One more breath here. All right, from downward facing dog, we're stretching the left leg up and back. We're pointing those left toes. We're really reaching through that left leg. So much so that you're starting to feel a little cramp on top of the left thigh. And then exhale, shift forward, left knee to the left elbow. See if you can get a little tap there. And press into your hands, lift your hips up and back, re-extend that left leg long. Maybe a little bit this time, open the hips, rotate the pelvis. Deep breath in. Exhale, shift forward, left foot plants between the hands, right knee to the mat, untuck the back toes. So really press actively through both feet. You're at the top of the right foot and the sole of the left foot. Sweep your arms forward and up. Interlace the hands to the webbing. You're scooping up the back of the neck here. And then instead of collapsing into the low back, we're lifting up through the chest. Use your hands and your shoulders here. Look up towards the ceiling. Maybe lean your head back into your hands a little bit. Try to keep the back of the neck relatively long, or sorry, the lumbar spine relatively long. That's your low back. Deep breath in, pressing the heart forward. Stay with this for your exhale. And then release those arms forward and up. We're taking the hands to the top of the mat, heel toe that left foot out to the side, maybe even slightly off the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee up, wiggle it back so you're nice and long in that right leg. And then you're just starting to get heavier in the hips here. Right knee stays lifted, right leg active. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Take one more breath here. And try to keep the right leg in that high plank and left leg steps back to meet it without lifting the hips. Pause in that high plank, deep breath in. Then shift forward onto the tippy toes. With or without the knees, lower to the belly. Second round of Sphinx. Into our Sphinx pose. Here's the elbows walk forward underneath your shoulders or forward of your shoulders. Forearms are parallel. You're actively pressing the floor away with your elbows, with the tops of the thighs, with the tops of the feet. Pull your heart forward through your shoulders, shoulders shrug down your back. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. In our Sphinx pose, we're adding on a bind. So you're going to bend your left knee. You're going to take your right forearm just at a diagonal across the top of your mat. Bend your left knee, right arm at a diagonal across the top of your mat. Left hand reaches back. Going to grab the outer ankle. Then turn your left chest forward, left hip down. Keep pressing the floor away with that right arm. Kick the left foot into the hand. Maybe a little bit of that, more of that thigh comes off the mat. So you're coming into this half of a back bend. Half of Dhanurasana bow pose. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Release that side. We're going to come right into our second side. Left forearm angles across the top of the mat. It's like 45-degree angle bend, or rotation rather. Bend the right knee. Reach back. Right hand might bind with the outer right ankle. Then try to turn your right shoulder forward, right hip down. Kick the foot into the hand. Resist the floor away with that left elbow. A little bit more of that thigh muscle on the right side tries to lift off the mat. Stay active in that kick. Deep breath in here. And breath out, release, come back to your Sphinx pose. We're going to set up our supported forearm plank. So elbows might walk back a little bit closer to the right underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Press into the knees. Tuck the tailbone as you lift your pelvis up off the mat. You either stay there or you lift the knees high or up, rather, so that you're in your forearm plank. Shoulders, hips, knees all in the same plane. One breath here. And then this time when we walk up to our high plank, try to take your opposite hand first. So if you're always going with your right hand first, try to take your left hand underneath your left shoulder, right hand underneath right shoulder. High plank. Lift the hips high. Downward facing dog. Relax your head. Relax your head. You're pressing the floor away. Hips sail high towards the ceiling. Heel bones get heavy towards the mat. They may never touch the mat, and that is okay. You're just trying to lengthen out through the whole back body here. Take one more breath in your downward facing dog. And then we'll lift those heels high. We're going to keep the feet in this tippy toe position, like a little ballerina. Try to keep the legs straight. We're going to tippy toe our way to the top of the mat with these legs straight-ish. You need to bend the knees a little bit, but try to stay up on the ball mounds of the feet. So when your feet get about to the center, a little bit more forward of center of your mat, come up onto your fingertips. Legs and arms are nice and long. And then exhale, lower the heel bones all the way to the mat. Forward fold over your legs. Grab your opposite elbows if you like, sway the body side to side. You can also take the hands behind the head, just like we did in our low lunge. And then also here too, you can sway the body side to side. If you're doing that movement side to side, maybe bend the knees right and left as you go. All right, let's come back to our halfway lift. If you have blocks at home or any props you like to use in your halfway lift, like a chair or stool, those can work really well here. So we're going to come up onto our fingertips, find straight arms. You can also just place your fingertips on your shins. That's a nice prop to use for your halfway lift. Either way, we're looking for a straight spine. It's a little bit of a back bend in your upper back. Your shoulders are as high as your hips. Your neck is nice and long. You're looking straight down towards the floor. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. We're going to stay here with the spine. Root down into the left foot. Stretch your right leg back. Flex the right toes, right hip pointing down towards the floor. This is a halfway lift with the right leg stretching straight back behind you. Deep breath in here. Let's see if we can turn this into standing splits. Right toes point up towards the ceiling. Hands might walk back towards that left ankle. Left hand might even bind to left ankle. So you're trying to collapse your belly over your left thigh. Get heavier in your head here. One more breath. And then slowly, right foot meets left foot. Inhale, halfway lift here. Exhale back into your forward fold. 2 breaths, forward fold. Just let your upper body ragdoll over your legs. Anything you want to do with your arms is welcome. Second side, inhale, find that halfway lift. Find that integrity in the spine first. You are active in your core. Okay, so find that position of fingertips to the shins maybe, or hands to blocks or stool or some kind of prop in front of you so that your shoulders are staying in line with your hips and you're in a little bit of a back bend in the upper back. Okay, root down into your right foot. Extend your left leg straight back behind you. So the left heel is not trying to get higher than the hip. Keep it down in line with the hip. Left toes pointing down, left hip pointing down. Deep breath in, really tall and long through your spine. And then on your exhale, we're coming into our standing split. Point the toes, the left toes up towards the ceiling. Start to take your hands off your prop. Walk them back towards your right ankle. Maybe that right hand grabs a hold of the right ankle. So you get a little bit more traction out of this by pulling with that right bicep, belly to right thigh. Deep breath in. And then slowly release back to your both feet on the mat. Take a breath in here, halfway lift, hands to your prop if you're using it, or fingertips to shins. Exhale, fold back in. Fold all the way back in. If you need to bend the knees a lot or a little, please feel free to do that. And then we're going to come all the way up to standing. So get really rooted through your feet. Head stays heavy here. Arms stay floppy. Reverse uncurl your spine. Head comes up very last. Deep breath in here at the top of your mat. Chin parallel with the floor. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and then let them slide down your back. Turn your palms to face forward. Tadasana, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Okay, we're coming into Natarajasana, dancer's pose. Another great way to prepare for full splits. So if you have a strap or something you can use like a strap, a belt, a tie, or dog's leash, a scarf. That might come in handy for this today. So if you need to pause me here and go grab that prop, feel free to do so. And then we're going to come back to the top of our mat. Another prop that might be helpful to have nearby is the surface of like a wall or a door that you can reach your fingertips forward towards for balance. All right, so we're just going to make a loop out of whatever we're using for our strap, holding it nice and loose in the right hand. When we turn towards the top of the mat, facing maybe a door or a wall, we're going to shift all that body weight into the left foot, bend the right knee back behind you, so right heel's trying to squeeze towards right glute. It's like you're lassoing up the top of the right foot and or ankle. I'm actually going to turn the other direction so you can see my right ankle. Okay, so I've got my right ankle lassoed up into the strap, and then I'm turning my right thumb out to the right side like I'm hitchhiking backwards. Kind of a weird analogy, right? So now to come into this, my elbow is going to reach next to my right hip and then pull my elbow forward, bicep alongside the ear. Okay, and as you come into this, kick the foot into the strap just like we did when we were on the belly in our half bow pose, and start to lean the body forward. Now with your left hand, if you have that wall space in front of you, reach your fingertips forward, you can help stabilize. I'm really actively pulling on this strap with my hand and actively kicking my foot into the strap so that I'm moving this sensation of stretch up into my quadricep muscle and hip flexor on that right side. Okay, legs are basically doing the same thing here as they do in full splits. Standing left leg is your front leg, right leg is your back leg in splits. Let's slowly release out of this. Same way you came in, just reverse that path with the elbow and the shoulder. Let that right leg out of the strap, take a wide stance on your mat, and then just rotate your body side to side. Not uncommon for your heart rate to increase in back bends, for your breathing to start to quicken. We're pressing all those vital organs to the front of the body, so it's harder to take deeper, slower breaths in that way. Back bendings are said to be very energizing as well. For that reason, we get the adrenaline going. Okay, body weight to your right foot. Bend your left knee back behind you. Lasso up the top of that left foot towards the ankle. And then your left thumb, it's like it's pointing out to the left side and back behind you, like you're hitchhiking backwards. Okay, now your elbow's going to stay close to your body. It's like grazing that hip as you move it forward, and then the bicep alongside the ear, eventually elbows pointing up towards the ceiling. You start to lean your torso forward and kick your foot into that strap. As you lean your torso forward, reach your fingertips, your right hand now, forward. Maybe it's towards the wall in front of you, and you can just practice balancing here. You don't have to have a prop in front of you. But our main focus here is on that stretch, that active stretch in that right, the back of the right leg and the front of the left thigh, because we're moving towards our split. And here we are putting our body in that position already. We'll slowly start to back out of this. Woo! Crash landings are okay. I guess I would say emergency exits. Try not to have a crash landing. If you got to get out of something fast, get out of it though as safely as you can. One more time, let's come back to the center of our mat. Sway the arms, rotate the upper body side to side. All right, let's head towards those splits here. So come back to the top of the mat. Let's move through Vinyasa flow. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Make your way to high plank and pause. In your high plank, shift forward onto those tippy toes. Stay there in the feet as you slowly lower all the way to the belly, with or without the knees. Bring those elbows forward. We're coming into that Sphinx pose. Deep breath in here. You're pulling your heart forward. On your exhale, maybe the elbows wiggle back a little bit closer to the rib cage. Tuck the toes, press into the knees to lift the pelvis, tuck the tailbone, keep that, lift the knees up, forearm plank. From here, we're walking up to our high plank. And then we shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Relax your head here, relax your head. 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. All right. Let's get our split set up. So inhale, right leg, sweep it up and back. Point those toes, give your leg a nice long stretch. Exhale, right foot forward, between the hands, left knee down. First, we're coming into a half split. I'm just reaching for my bolster. It's off to the side here. Okay, so whatever props you're going to use, have them within hand's reach, and we'll get to that in a minute. So hips back over that left knee, right leg is straight. You're in a half split. Hips back over that left knee, right leg is reaching forward, it's straightening out. So you're starting to feel a little bit of a stretch along the back of the right leg, maybe. A big breath in here. Big breath out. So for those of you who are really just working on lengthening the back of the legs, so hamstring, calf muscle, maybe even glutes, this is where you're going to stay today. This is your version of your splits. And if you are feeling like I could go a little bit further with this, then you're starting to wiggle that right leg forward and left leg back. I always love to slide a prop. So in this case, I have this nice bulky cushion, which you could grab from your couch, or you could grab a couple of pillows or some stacks of blankets, and then continue to lengthen that right leg forward and left leg back, sliding that prop or props right underneath the pelvis. So I'm basically, my body weight's now kind of balanced between the back of my right thigh. It's like where my hamstring inserts into my glute, and then the top of my left thigh, my left hip flexor. And so I'm trying to turn my chest to point straight forward, squaring my shoulders and my hips forward, which is why props are handy when we're working towards full splits. So we don't rotate our pelvis inadvertently. That back leg typically will want to move out into external rotation, which is fine. But we're just trying to work towards a more neutral pelvis. Okay, so wherever we are, let's take one more breath here. Good. And then we're going to very ungracefully get out of this. So typically I find it easiest to roll all my body weight onto my right hip. Then I can bend my right knee. I'm basically like in this setup for a pigeon pose now. But instead of coming into pigeon, I'm just going to make my way back to downward facing dog. Sweep my prop out of the way. Meet me in down dog. Take a couple of breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Let's try that on the second side. So inhale, left leg, sweep it up and back. Point those toes, really reach, reach, reach. A little stretch. Exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands, right knee to the mat. Shift the hips back over your right knee. Start to lengthen out through that left leg. And so just assess here where you're feeling sensation in the back of the left leg. And does it feel like this is a good place to stay and work? So one way to assess that is like, oh, this is a lot of sensation and I don't think I could go any further with that without causing damage. If that's the case, then please, please, please stay exactly where you are. You don't need to go any further. You need to learn how to work with your body where it is today. If you're feeling like, yeah, I could explore a little bit more, we start to wiggle that left foot forward, right leg back. You can absolutely keep a bend in both knees. Typically, one side is more readily accessible than the other. And for me, That is not true on this side. I mean, this side is a lot less mobile, right? So I'm keeping a little bend in my left knee and right knee because what I'm working towards is squaring my shoulders forward and staying neutral in my pelvis. So I don't want to let my right hip externally rotate. I want to keep my right hip also pointing straight forward. That means I keep a little bit of bend in the knees and I add a lot of height underneath my front hip. Let's find our breath here, whatever expression of the posture we are making, 2 more breaths. And all of it is valuable. Working with your range of motion right now today, that is valuable. You are getting just as much out of it as you would if you were in the position that I am in, because I'm working within my range of motion. You need to work within your range of motion. All right, let's start to make our way out of our split. So all that body weight shifts off to that left hip. Start to bend that left knee. And then we can make our way back to our downward facing dog. One last time there. Relax your head here. Let's take 3 breaths. Good. And then we're going to just come down to our back so you can walk your feet forward and take a seat in the center of your mat. Roll all the way onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. A little bit side to side. Try to keep your tailbone in contact with the floor and the back of your head and shoulders when you are hugging the knees into the chest. We're trying to work towards a more neutral spine instead of a rounded spine. Let's come into happy baby. Reach up for the soles of the feet or the backs of the calves or the knees. Again, try to maintain that neutral spine where the back of the head, the shoulders, and the tailbone are in contact with the floor. Now we did a lot to lengthen the backs of the legs. If you want to try extending out through the legs one at a time or 2 at a time, you could do that. And we'll slowly rebend the knees, release the feet back to the floor. Take a wide stance with your feet, knees still bent. Start to knock the knees side to side. That's just like a little windshield wiper action with the knees going side to side. Feel free to pause on one side or the other to take an extra breath or 2. And then we'll come back to center when that feels equal from right to left. Stretch out through the legs. Relax the shoulders down the back. We will take a minute-long Shavasana here. Of course, you can stay longer if you have it. I always recommend that. Maybe even setting yourself a timer for 5 minutes. Start to settle in here, relax your jaw. Widen your tongue at the base of your mouth. Let the tip of your tongue rest at the bottom row of teeth. Maybe close the eyes. Let the eyes sink heavy into their sockets. Let go of any sort of effort. Just allow yourself to rest. If you have more time to spare in your day, please feel free to stay longer. If you need to move on, take a big breath in, stretch your arms overhead. Exhaling, bend your knees. Roll off to a side and then make your way to an upright seat. We won't be here too long. We'll just close out our practice briefly in a seated position. And that can be however is most comfortable to you, in a chair, on a stool, on the floor. Lean back a little bit in your shoulders. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and then let them release down your back. A little bit tuck your chin so that your chin is parallel with the floor. And a deep breath in through your nose. Deep breath out through your nose. Breathing here in and out through your nose, nice and slow. And then finally, let's join our hands together at the heart to close our practice. Bowing the chin into the chest with reverence and gratitude to all of our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste, yogis.